Okay, it's time for a bit of a change of pace. Right now I'm dividing the things I'm thinking about at the piano into three categories related to three different needs. One, of course, is the Prokofiev Sixth Sonata, which I'm learning with an open time frame in an attempt to really explore how I learn stuff, because it was from a standing start or a sitting start, whatever you choose to call it. I also have some violin piano repertoire for a concert coming up, Beethoven, Schoenberg, and Schubert. I also have, after that, a solo recital that will involve older material of various degrees of oldness, and that's what I want to start exploring now. The first piece here is actually a piece from graduate school, and it was assigned to me because of its pianism, because of its varied nature. It's the Variations on a Theme by Pierre Rode, French violinist, by Carl Czerny. It's one of the few pieces by Czerny that isn't known in terms of its pedagogical essence. It's not an exercise or a study. It's a legitimate concert piece, and it's a pretty tune, not by Czerny, but he loved to write variations, and it's an old favorite of mine because I cut my chops on it, as it were. I learned an awful lot about how to play the piano from confronting this piece. It's full of lots of whimsical little variations, not very many variations, and it's certainly salon music type thing, lightweight, but very, very pretty in lots of ways. So I'm going to explore it. I may explain it less because I noticed this particular copy has very few markings, but I think there's enough of what I already know about the piece that it will come back fairly quickly. And, in a way, a juxtaposition between this and some of the other pieces that I'm working on, especially the Prokofiev, which has a newness to it. That juxtaposition may be amusing to me, maybe to you, because I'm hoping that a lot of it will snap back. For example, I can say, okay, this is how it goes. And okay, I will need to review. I'm not really reading it. I know how it goes. In fact, much of it, even without having seen it or reviewed it in years, seems to be well stuck. There's a few decisions that will have to be made. So probably this experience will be a little less verbal than some of the others. I actually want to get to work and get this stuck. So you may just see me repeating certain things, peering, marking, and I may not explain as much as I usually do. But this is part of the process too. Every one of us has to do old repertoire again, and we hope we don't have to start from scratch each time. So let's see what happens. So for example, it's an issue of fingering. The hardest thing about a lot of fingering is when you're in that arbitrary place where you say, gee, about 4 or 5 or 10 fingerings would work here. 2, 3 to 1, 2, maybe. like it when my body reminds me of a fingering. My mind tried to find a fancy fingering, but I didn't. A part of me recalled what I had done. In other words, I missed. I went to G. I want to know both how it feels to go to F, it's more comfortable, and why. That supertonic. Probably had several versions, not several editions, but several versions of this same which I've well analyzed here, to E diminished chord, going to F minor. But coming out of E flat, a nice tonic here. This set of variations is full of repeats. The first part repeats, the second part repeats, and I play all the repeats because basically I like the opportunity to say it a little differently in the second. I like, well actually Czerny even indicated it, or maybe not Czerny, maybe just an editor, but probably Isidore Philippe. Yep. I do have a sort of a vague association with Isidore Philippe, who taught well over 1,000 students. My first teacher in Montreal, Canada, Dorothy Morton, McGill University, for a while studied with Isidore Philippe. So every time I see one of these editions, they're all international editions, I think I feel a strange connection. Not that I agree with all of his editing, but I just like the connection. Why do I want to go to G? It must be but I assume a largeness to that interval. F is so much more comfortable. I'm just looking for a linear relationship. He leaves out the F and then brings it here. So haven't numbered these because I can always find my way, but it's at the crescendo measure. I want 5 because it's perfect. I'm going to 4, then I have to reiterate my thumb. It's silly. So a lot of the time, most of the time, there's a first and second ending. So I really want to make sure. So of course, since we're in E flat, so solidly in E flat, a B flat 7th, and then there's a B flat scale. Well, an E flat scale on B flat. Okay, so. I should point out there's a lot of notes in this piece, and the colder you are, the more afraid you might tend to be. That's why it's so important for me to stress the gestural language that gets me from key to key. When my fingers don't respond, I've said it before in these videos, but I will say it again. It's really, really important that you rely on the larger, coarser muscular gestures before the more refined ones, because the coarser ones will always be available to you. Your body is not going to be so cold, even if you're nervous, even if you're shaking. Your arms don't tend to shake. Maybe your hands will, but if you can plant them with a choreography that gives a sense of place, you're going to be much better off. Let's see. There's no difference difference in the first and second endings, except that the first ending, of course, returns, so it has that little figure there. Oh, there is one other. Czerny has me reiterate the E flat on the actual finish. It gives more of a sense of finish, whereas there's a tie the first time around, which I think is a nice, subtle gesture. To the point where the line breaks, and then making sure that there's a fluid gesture to connect the two parts. Otherwise, I'm going to anticipate that skip in that fifth finger and tighten myself up. So. Oh, well, I'm on 1-4-5, and then I have to go down here. I'm just curious if that's what I do. Well, even this editor says 3, 2, 1, so he's just as stuck as I am. That's not a very good set of instructions. I'm going to go 1, 1, 1. So let's see. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't know what he was thinking. You have to pedal it. You can't pedal against all that. Or you'd have to ignore the half note. Silly. So. What am I doing? That's right. Or second finger. Second finger probably makes the slur easier to execute. Longer finger, much easier to play with a very gentle approach. Second. To agree with my right, but it holds the forward on the E flat pedal. It still agrees in its tenor. backwards, and now they're broken up and down. Now, for those of you who have followed some of these videos, it's kind of a mysterious thing. You know, I haven't played this piece in years, but it comes back so quickly. So the long-term memory that retains this is such a powerful thing, and I need to be reminded, I need to brush up on details, but it's pretty amazing. The mind is so amazing in what it does and doesn't retain, and that's why it's so important when I'm learning something like the Prokofiev Sixth to make sure that I lay down tracks or grooves that are really, really identifiable and embraceable and there for the long term, because it certainly pays off here. Now, the third variation is, I think, my favorite in so many ways. It is the ultimate salon music. It's just silly as can be, trite figuration, but a delicious celebration of pianism. So I suppose that's why I like it and embraced it when I was a student. So. Whoops. Okay, a little rough, but so what? I can't find my place. Here we go. No wonder. Playing instead of small A flat chord, I'm playing a big A flat chord. So, and that's the big one. This needs fingering choices, none of which are marked except by the editor. I think this black notes get 3, 4, 4, 3, 3, 4. That's, I think, how it's going to work. not where he writes. He writes a group of four, then a group. I don't like that. So 3 twice in a row. What I said before doesn't count. I'm going to 4 when I have the third note a black note. So I want to be able to move in on a long note. The rest of the time it's 3 note groups. I see no reason not to use 3 2 1. 3 2 1 4 3 2 3 2 1 3 2 1 3 2 1 4 3 2. Yeah. Oh, you know, the explanation itself is all I needed. In other words, I needed something other than an arbitrariness of recollection. It's the gestural need, and it happens to be symmetrical. It's white, 1, 1, and 2, or white, white, and black, white, 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 and black. How nice. Which brings up the issue of, now that I've done this, my attention really needs to be on my left hand that's jumping around, so. I think Philippe's fingering is not bad here. I'm busy turning a hand group, a hand group, a hand group, now 2 hand groups to get me back to the second finger on black notes. So that's. That's an octave too low. Way up here. Not perfect, but now that was interesting. You know, that part I hadn't even looked at. And somewhere in the deep, dark recesses of my mind brought them back. And then I lost my nerve. There's a point at which I wasn't clear. I think fingering had was an issue, and the fact that the direction changes, all kinds of sophisticated little demands that in some fashion I can only analyze it, that somewhere in the deep dark past of my relationship with this music, that little spot was one of the ones that wasn't natural but needed extra attention. So, and I have to say that physically speaking that's true. I mean, going is easy, it's so under the head. Now things start to change. Those hybrid scales. Let's see. Okay, now if I think group, I get the scale up to the A flat, then I have to negotiate that not only a turn, but 2 different pairs. These are appoggiatura-like things. A second to here, to B flat, a second to F. And then a fingering. If I just, well, Philippe suggests just 3 groups of 4, which is not bad, but it really makes the turn here awkward and the speed of the turn. So what I had done different was to put thumb on A, which to me makes the long fingers stay more over the black notes and the thumb stay more over the white notes, which I do like. It's more passive. It's just that one. So it's 3, 2, 1 as a result. 3 and then 4. So it's yes. You hear how confused I was there? Because I made all of this one group. And in fact, it's a scale, finishing, and I don't make the thumb really be a part of this scale, or maybe I should. Yes. Maybe that's exactly what I did wrong. I thought of the thumb as belonging to the next hand position. In fact, it doesn't, because if I'm going from A to C, that's a compressed hand position. That's something my body will rebel against. So if I insist on making that the reason, the raison d'etre of that fingering, I will be mistaken. My body will reject it. But if I go, get to the A, then start fresh on the C, which is what I'm going to do in my head and on the score. I'm going to make a little line. So that's all that it takes. And then 1, 4, 1, yes. I've written something incomprehensible. Oh, I've written a thumb. It's just misplaced on the score. The editor has 5, 4. It's, oh boy, too slippery. I'm just tossing it. My hand division. Yeah. And ending interestingly with the thumb, because it's there.